break from the walk right now up on the bleachers. You see behind me, there's the skate park, and then over on me, obviously, if I'm bleachers, is a lovely baseball field. So I got the kids in about a half an hour. I figured before wrapping up the actual walk with the dog, I'd talk to you about some of these unsealed Epstein documents. So definitely going to be going on air with those. We're going to be reading them live. I'm at the Dershowitz section where Dershowitz is giving some testimony, and Bradley Edwards, the man who beat Epstein in court recently, is interrogating him. So I think that's about 27 pages. Hopefully when I get home, I can rip through that. And then I think there's like 3 or 4 other documents, a couple of them that say unsealed on them. Now, what have I read so far? I don't know, because I just started. We're only a minute deep. Usually takes a little while, Timothy, for people to jump in. So anyway, what have I read? Well, it looks like Jane Doe's 1 through 5 and their civil complaints. They're on there. One of the things that I was interested to learn was that Virginia Giuffre, or Virginia Roberts, however you want to say her name, while she was in Australia, apparently she met with the FBI at a U.S. embassy or consulate in about 2015. Again, we'll bring all these documents up and run through what I think are the important aspects of them. I'm not sure how long this stream is going to be. There aren't a whole lot of new revelations right now that I'm seeing. I'll be honest. I'm not seeing a bunch of new names named or anything like that, but it's not over. You know, the interrogation of Dershowitz himself by Bradley Edwards has already been interesting. For instance, one of the things he brings up is, will you make the flight logs of several other pilots public? And I think he names 3 other pilots that they don't have the flight logs from. Don't worry, baby, we're going to move soon. My dog is anxious to get off these bleachers. I can see it. So that's interesting. Again, there are co-conspirators. However, I'm not seeing any names named. The Dershowitz testimony seems to be brand new. And by the way, big thank you to the person that sent me the Google Drive with those documents on them. I'm very happy to have them. But again, we'll see. I'm not really sure. You know, if you were watching my my video earlier today about Sir Edward Heath or Ted Heath, I showed you how somebody with the most repugnant past that you could imagine made his way up to Prime Minister of Britain, got them into the European Union, and later on, after his death, was investigated for just a multitude of crimes and abuses towards children that are unthinkable. And you see how these people work. They're very establishment, you know. They're pro-globalism, they're pro-war, like Dennis Hassert and others. They don't question authority. You know, they first of all, they're completely compromised. But secondly, they're vicious predators that are sociopaths. That's what these people are at the top, let's be honest. And that's what Epstein was as well, 100%. A vicious sociopath. Now, another one of the documents there, it's on Ghislaine Maxwell and her role, especially with Giuffre, as one of the main procurers and pimps of these kids. One of the other things I found really interesting is that initially, when this deal was going on, first of all, the Crimes Victims' Rights Act, which Giuffre and others just recently invoked when they reopened the case for the Department of Justice, right? Well, that's referred to all the way back in 2008. You know, she was talking about that 10 plus years ago, okay? And the funny thing is that Epstein's actual deal didn't give him a non-prosecution agreement in the very beginning. Well, what do I mean? Well, according to these documents, they deferred his investigation and said that there were other investigations going on a federal level, and that if he served his time, which ended up being, you know, the 13 months at the country club, and then 90 days, that's when they would no longer seek these criminal charges. They wouldn't defer them. They would dispose of them. They would dismiss them. Okay? So I was just like, this is I mean, the deal is completely bizarre anyway, right? Right now, we're looking at unsealed documents from the Virginia Roberts defamation case. And again, Dershowitz in his testimony is what I'm reading through right now. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to go live with all of it, but you can bet we're going to be the first and the most in-depth on the actual documents that you too can download and take a look for yourself. If ever anybody sees something in there that they think should be brought to my attention, please do. Now, I know there was some fear also that by unsealing these documents, the Jane Does would become public, that it still didn't want to become public, and that somehow, you know, this would make it so Epstein and his cronies could harass them. I haven't seen that. You know, the only Jane Doe that I've seen have their name out there is Virginia Roberts, and that's it. And these are clearly different instances. So I don't know that that's going to be part of it. Again, I'm not through all the documents. There's a couple marked sealed. So we'll see when I get there. But overall, another woman named Holly Robson, she apparently was in community college at the time a lot of this was going down. And she was, let's see, she was getting, you know, teenage girls in that 14 to 16 range in high school and basically acting as a procurer, getting paid to bring them to Epstein. So Robson is named kind of in the same way that Maxwell is named. But again, I'm about halfway, 3/4 through the documents. Who knows how long some of them are going to be. Again, the Dershowitz thing's like 27 pages. I already read one that was close to 30. A lot of them are short. So I don't know, guys. They're available if you can find them. And I mean, the crimes are pretty clear that they took place in New York, in New Mexico, in Palm Beach, and at Little St. James Island. So how this wasn't federally prosecuted, how the Department of Justice can say this deal stands on a technicality that the Crimes Victims' Rights Act, even though it was put in place, even if they should be using it, doesn't guarantee anything for the victims at all. Doesn't guarantee any kind of rights, really. Just the acknowledgement, possibly, that you got fucked over. It's pretty wild. So, you know, we're going to be doing that. And like I said, if you saw my Heath video, you know, I talked about Heath and his abuse later, but I was talking about the EU in the beginning. And the European Union, and whether or not they're going to be able to actually get out through Brexit, and Boris Johnson, who's being pushed, I don't know a lot about him. I'll be honest. Seems like another globalist. But Tony Gosling, he's going to be joining us, former BBC reporter. And Gosling is going to be giving his take on what's going on with Brexit and whether or not Boris Johnson is going to be the next guy. It certainly seems that way. And I'm very, very, very much on the outskirts of that situation. So, you know, again, food for thought. I'm also going to be having Eric Jackman on tomorrow, sometime in the AM. Eric Jackman, of course, the #1 Donald Trump impersonator in the world. He and his brother Mike Jackman also do Politics and Pints, a talk show, which I highly recommend, that's had Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard on and some other big players. I think they may have even gotten that new woman, but don't quote me, the author. I'm not sure if they got her or not, but they do a bang-up job, and he's a funny guy, and he was just recently, yesterday, at the March for Tulsi, with Tulsi, side by side. And again, Gabbard has problems, but you look at who's on that stage, and there's two stages. Who's talking about any of the real issues? Who's actually demanding we not go to war with Iran? Again, I gave you a breakdown on what was wrong, but you know, I love this channel because you take the most non-agendic and humanely honest approach. Keep it up, the good work. Sorry, it's only on for like a couple seconds. I appreciate that comment. By the way, guys, if you haven't noticed, we're doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 videos a day. I would imagine that Epstein, you know, document deep dive, that's going to be easily half an hour to an hour. So make sure you join me for that. Like I said, I'm going to be having Gosling coming up later this evening. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to any other videos because, you know, it takes time to go through these documents. But I thank you for all your support, guys. Remember, I have a GoFundMe going, and we are more than halfway through that first month of GoFundMe, and we're already more than halfway up to our goal. So that's awesome. You guys are doing it for me. I'm trying to do it for you. 30 to 50 videos on topics that matter, good guests, good issues, things that are not about left or right, but are about right and wrong, because that's the real deal. That's what we should be talking about. Guys, me and Karma, we're gonna check out. We're gonna hit back to the house. I will see you all on the flip side.